Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Clearly Ambiguous. While everybody has been talking and trying to think and make sense out of these Trump tariffs, uh, it got me thinking that, what have we probably done, or what has probably the world done for, you know, ending up on the bad side of Trump? Because if you see in his first term, all those people he probably was engaging with, he is probably threatening them, right, and going to an extent of using very derogatory language at the same point of time, you know, moving away. There is a 180-degree shift in what he was speaking before the elections and what he has been speaking since he's come to office. See, the one thing that we can understand is that why would he want to indulge in this tariff game? The United States economy is under a very big debt, right? So they keep increasing their debt ceiling and they keep borrowing more and more and more. And the debt right now is about 37 to 38 trillion dollars. And the dollar is weakening as well. So basically, United States, instead of supplying to the world, is basically buying from the world, right? And what they would like to do right now is that they would want this debt that they have gotten upon themselves by their own misjudgments in economics, they would want the world to pay for it. Right, and President Trump thinks that being the ace businessman and the master negotiator and the master user of leverage, he can probably bully nations into basically doing what he wants them to do. Right. In some cases, he might succeed, but at the same point of time, how do countries respond to such demands or such leaders? They would, at the face of it, probably disengage or stay cordial, but at the same point of time, try to, wait and watch. Or probably they'll even endure it, right? Like in our case, we've already said that, we cannot compromise on the interest of our agricultural community, the farmers, and at the same point of time, we would not like to penalize our industries as well. So we will probably look for alternative trade deals, alternative markets, so on and so forth. Another thing is that what has happened in recent times is, and let's go back to the recent defense operations military operations that India conducted after the very dastardly and cowardly attacks on civilians who were selected and executed in Kashmir. What has happened after that is that we've gone out there and presented our case pretty professionally, and we've been pretty precise about our campaign, and at the same point of time, it has led to a devastating impact. And we've gone forth and shown it to the world that we can conduct such highly sophisticated military campaigns. And that changes one thing. See, the West has employed a strategy of post-Second World War of upgrading their military infrastructure, which is, very technologically superior to everybody else. And they try to pride themselves on these precision strikes and so on and so forth, and very high-tech weapons and weapon platforms. And it's come to them as a surprise that, I think the West would still like to believe, because they still believe that we are a land of snake charmers. And that's how their media portrays us still, right? We are an underdeveloped country and with poor infrastructure. So, of course, our military probably might be still fighting with sticks and stones. Yet all these modern Western militaries actually come and do military exercises with the Indian armed forces when it comes to counterinsurgency and so on and so forth. But they understand that we have an extremely motivated and a professional military, but they still can't believe the fact that, we could probably do something like this. And at the same point of time, we've been able to showcase that we are not only able to upgrade legacy air defense systems and integrate them and have, a very effective multi-layered air defense system. Right, when it comes to air defense, using air defense artillery in combination to short-range anti-air missiles and long-range surface-to-air systems, so on and so forth, which is something that West would want you to believe, because if you look at what Israel has been doing, they keep in last couple of years. Every time Israelis do conduct something, whenever there has been a rocket attack, they do not fail to mention their Iron Dome system. Right, and now comes the Indian military, and we have probably a comparable system, or probably even better, because we were able to neutralize everything that was thrown at us. So this is something that West is finding very hard to swallow. Also, at the same point of time, that if you look at what is happening in Russia, between Ukraine and Russia, just to give you an example, and I'm sure you can do this research online, the Abrams tank, which is, according to the West, the best in the world, apparently, out of the 31 tanks the Ukrainians had, more have either been captured or destroyed by the Russians. And Russians, if you remember, a while back had done an exhibition of whatever they had captured in the battlefield. Also, there are reports. Now, Western media would not want to say this, because Western media would back anything and everything Ukraine says. But there seem to be reports that are slipping through that there is almost about 1.8 million soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers, which have perished. And if so many have perished, probably equal number have been wounded or have probably surrendered to the Russian forces as well. And West would have us believe that, it is succeeding in this campaign. And I don't understand how they are succeeding in a campaign where Russia seems to keep capturing large swathes of Ukrainian territory. Right? President Trump has recently announced that, he's placing 2 nuclear submarines. I believe he forgets the fact that the Russians have nuclear submarines as well. Right? And probably, if not better, equally better. And that's the reason why recently Russians reminded the Americans about the dead hand. And what is this dead hand? The dead hand is that even if everything gets destroyed in Russia, Russia still would be able to launch a nuclear strike on the United States of America. And I think President Trump should be mindful of the fact that, it might not be Putin or Xi Jinping or anybody else who might end up bleeding this into a larger conflict, because if you look at it, most of the conflicts which have been started post World War II have been initiated by the Westerners, by United States. And if you look at their poor performance of their military might, their weapon systems, it's appalling, right? Another thing that would be worth mentioning here is that Trump, the infatuation Trump has, he's obsessed with India, right? Now, why would I say that? The reason I would say that is because if in about last 60 days, you end up mentioning India about 35 times, right? Whether it's you trying to achieve peace, somebody please give him the Nobel Peace Prize so that he could probably showcase it and make it into a tourist attraction and make money out of showing it to everyone that he has won the Nobel Peace Prize. But he's seriously obsessed. He might keep saying that, he's trying to ignore. If you're trying to ignore the Indian economy or the Russian economy, so to speak, Why do you want us to come to the table and sign a deal? Right? So, and if you look at it, even after the statements that were issued, we should look very carefully at the statements he had given after the Americans carried out those strikes on Iran. Right? He ended up saying something which I think we should have looked more closely at, that nobody does it better than United States. Nobody does it better than us. Because what was he referring to? He probably, I think he probably feels threatened by the fact that we've been able to properly conduct a military operation and succeed in much better terms than they probably succeeded with Iran. Because Iran merrily continues its nuclear program. That's what the Iranians are saying. Right? So, I believe that United States is reeling under a huge debt, and they want everybody else to pay for it. And United States, if it imposes tariffs on everyone, it would make everything that United States imports. Because what is he thinking? That suddenly you're going to have people in the United States manufacturing Nikes or something? No matter what he has said to Tim Cook, Apple still manufactures its iPhones in India. So, and China has been able to reroute its trade through Vietnam. So, I think he should probably look at it more pragmatically. Another thing that came forth is that, this is something that we Indians get concerned about, is his engagement with Pakistan. Well, Americans have always indulged with Pakistan, and they will keep doing so, because and the stronger the Indian economy is, because United States has never had that ability to engage with strong economies. They would rather want a unipolar world where they can probably end up because see, what is happening to Americans right now is that they thought that when they were able to demolish Soviet Union, Russia was basically never going to come back from it, and Russia is still there, and Russia is still strong, and Russia is selling oil to everyone, and which is what United States just can't swallow. Chinese, for that matter, were just manufacturing sweatshops for United States, and now Chinese are technically as good or even better when it comes to semiconductors, and probably have vast quantities of rare earths which they control, which is what Americans just can't swallow or accept. They can't engage. They do not believe in the fact that they could probably engage with everyone and work with other economies. They would rather destroy economies, and that's a hallmark of United States. Whether it comes to, that's what they've been doing in the Middle East, right? If you don't supply us or you don't allow us to drill the oil that we want, we will come and invade your nation under false pretexts. And, what happened to those weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Did they find any? What happened, right? So, yes, they are indulging with Pakistan. And, recently the Pakistanis awarded an honor to American general, and he ended up saying, and this is a general who was part of the Afghanistan campaign, and it's not even hidden. The Americans themselves understood the duplicity of our lovely neighbor to the west. So that if Americans think that nobody is watching that and nobody is, just because they would like to forget history, does not mean that everybody else would forget it as well. Right? So right now, your journals, probably to just save their jobs, might end up saying things in praise of somebody who has been, sponsoring and cultivating terrorism. So that is something that is actually make America look bad. And I don't think so anybody at this point of time is appreciating President Trump. Neither his own people. And if he does have some people who see, there is always support for somebody as fanatic as Trump, and those people would probably move away from him once they see the bad impact of his tariff policy is going to have on the US economy. And coming back to what is happening in the Russia-Ukraine war, if you look at what happened to Germany in Second World War, was that they had technically superior weapons, they probably had a better trained military or whatever it was, but it was not the technical expertise. It was basically poor defense strategy that led to the downfall. Right? So you can keep supplying whatever you want to supply to Ukraine, but Ukraine keeps losing that to Russians. Right? And what is the plan Zelensky has? Does he have because see, we always hear him say that, Russia has to lose, Russia needs to be destroyed. But once this happens, what is his plan with Ukraine? His only plan is that Ukraine should be part of Europe and that's it. And Europe will basically exploit Ukraine just as they have exploited anybody else. So, yeah, we need to look at it as well. What should probably India be doing? Well, I'm not the person who should basically be thinking about, because, that's not my area of expertise. I'm just somebody who's watching news and trying to make sense out of it all. Right? I'm sure there are people who are far more capable about tackling Trump. Right? And I hope that Trump does not basically in his hunt for the Nobel Peace Prize, he does not end up leading to the Third World War, right? Because Russians seem to be prepared for it. Maybe the rest of the world isn't, but the Russians, they're kind of okay with it. So I hope President Trump is not responsible for a nuclear winter for all of us. That's all that I wanted to speak about today. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you have, please hit the like button. At least share it with one more person out there. And in the end, thanks for watching. Keep watching. And until next time, you take care of yourself. Bye for now.